Hi, I'm Dave Bundy, editor of the Lincoln Journal-Star, and we're at our editorial board interview with Elina Newman, candidate for the Lincoln City Council in District 3. That's the southwest part of the city. Elina, thank you for joining us. We'll start off by introducing the other editorial board members on here, and then we will get to you, our guest of honor. And as I said, I'm Dave Bundy, the editor. Mike, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Mike James. I am a community member and on the editorial board.
Kent?
Kent Walgamot. I write about arts and entertainment for the paper, and I've been on the editorial board for a very long time. I think 13 years now, maybe. And I see you at the pharmacy occasionally.
That's usually where people see me.
All right. Well, Elina, we will get started. So this first question is a good way to just tell us all about yourself, but why do you want this office, and what experiences and attributes qualify you to serve on the Lincoln City Council?
So I've been involved in various service industries in my entire, I guess, work career, and I see this as another opportunity to serve the constituents of the city, specifically District 3. So I have a unique outlook on policies and procedures, government policy, just government policy in general, because of my life experiences. So I came here in 1993. I'm an immigrant refugee. I fled the former USSR. Well, my family fled the former USSR due to persecution. It got so bad that we can't go back home to our country because we're traitors, basically. So we were basically forced out, and so we didn't have pretty much anywhere to go. So we came to the United States because the United States approved us to come here. So that's kind of my story. I've taken opportunities in the United States that I wouldn't have otherwise. I am the American dream. I've lived a pretty good life here in the US, a life that I wouldn't be allowed to live elsewhere. As far as my experiences, I'm an educator, so I've been an educator since 2008. I work in healthcare. I've been in healthcare since 2003. I'm a small business owner. I've done that since about 2010, although my small business wasn't officially formalized until much later. And I'm on various volunteer communities, volunteer groups, one of them being the Welcome Plan Steering Team Committee member for the Immigrant and Refugee Lincoln Lancaster County Welcome Plan for Immigrants and Refugees. And then in my free time, my husband and I are ballroom dancers, and we go out into the community in the assisted living and the nursing home communities, and we bring the joy of dance to the residents there.
I think you may be the first ballroom dancer we've interviewed, but I can't be 100% sure. So the next question for you, Elina, what are the biggest issues that are facing specifically your district, District 3, the southwest part of the city? And then what do you think are some of the biggest issues facing the city as a whole?
I think the issues I felt are across the city. I don't think they're unique to my district, although there is one issue that's unique that I hear constituents talking about specifically in my district, and that's the roundabout that's been talked about for a really, really long time. And so we've kind of had a number of reiterations of the plan, but we're just not seeing any action made towards that attempt. But as far as other issues, budget is a huge issue that people oftentimes ask, specifically as it pertains to city spending as far as roads. And at this point, mental health resources, because we are in a mental health crisis, specifically regarding the last couple of years. We're seeing increase in anxiety and depression. Those are up 200%. So there are concerns about that. There are concerns about crime rates in Lincoln. and the fact that there is one police officer per 1,000 individuals, increased call time, call and response times, all of those issues. I don't think they're unique to my district. I think they're felt across the board in the city. So those are a few things that I am hearing from constituents. Those are I guess the highlights that I'm hearing from constituents.
Okay. So there's been a lot of discussion about Lincoln's shortage of affordable housing and the missing middle income housing. What solutions do you have, or what ideas do you think the city ought to pursue to alleviate those problems?
So I think it's interesting that we have such a high cost for in that regard, because I can purchase a similar home in Omaha for $30,000 to $50,000 less. And so I think one of the things we need to do is talk to other municipalities like Omaha. What are they doing that is making their market more attractive? I know we also have a lot of red tape. We have a lot of rules for developers who are avoiding, they don't want to jump through all the hoops in the city, so they take their business to Omaha because it's easier to build out in Omaha. So I think removing red tape, I think rehabilitating or giving incentives to rehabilitate some of the houses that we have here would be helpful. Providing opportunities, first-time home buyer credit, any improvements that people make in their homes, giving them an incentive for that. I know the housing market is not favorable to the buyer right now, and it's kind of a catch-22. Yes, you can sell, and chances are you'll sell, but where are you going to live after that? Because of the high cost, then the younger population also, not that they don't want to stay here, they can't afford to stay here. So I think helping, whatever the city council can do in helping price houses at various points would kind of help promote some of the younger generations getting into home ownership. I know people want home ownership, they just can't afford it. Our taxes are through the roof also, so that creates some roadblocks. And I know that the city council does set budgets. I'm interested to see what the revenue from the casino, how that's going to help the city. I don't know how much of it is going to go into the housing part. So that'll be interesting to see the impact. But I would love to talk to other municipalities to see what they're doing to encourage people to stay. I know Lincoln is a small, big town, big, small town, depending on how you look at it. But I know that Lincoln is pricing itself out of specifically the younger population, and even people who've been in their houses for years and years. They just can't afford it with all the increases in the cost of living.
Okay, the next question, the Lincoln Bold project has sort of renewed a lot of discussion on TIF. So tell me what you think of the city's use strategy of TIF. Is it being used correctly? Is it being underused, overused?
So I wish I could answer that question if I understood completely what the purpose of TIF is. So I know it's tax increment financing, but I don't quite understand how that differs from any other viable or any other options. I've been trying to read up on it. I've been trying to kind of wrap my mind around how it's different, pros, cons. I haven't quite gotten to a point where I completely understand it to be able to provide feedback that is valuable, I guess.
Okay, that's fair enough. I guess we will move on. Next question. You sort of touched on this already, but in regards to housing, but what does Lincoln need to do to attract people and to fill vacant jobs?
Oof. Yeah, that's going to be a hard one. I think every employer, I mean, I see hiring signs all over the place. I think people are looking for, I think benefits are really important to people, kind of those fringe benefits as part of their work environment. I think the pandemic created a wave of a worker that's going to want a more of a work-life balance, because people have kind of seen, they've been around their kids during the pandemic, they've been around, you know, they haven't had to drive to work necessarily, they've worked from home, and so they've saved some of that time on the road. So they're more likely to want a life work balance more so than they did in the past, because they have now experienced what that's like. They're also looking for those benefits, those fringe benefits that are part of the job. So on the employer's part, so anything we can do as a city to help employers, specifically small businesses that have been impacted the most by the pandemic, either through city grants or some kind of an incentive, that would be helpful.
Well, let me ask you this way. I mean, those kinds of things usually involve money. You're concerned about the budget. So how do you strike that balance? I mean, some of the other things might be cultural, parks, quality of life things. Those things also cost money and
Yep.
drive up taxes. So, you know, how would you prioritize those quality of life things versus your budgetary concerns?
So I think we can do some practical things. I don't think we need to, change a lot of what we're doing. I think first and foremost, I need to understand the budget. I need to understand where the money is, where it's sitting, what is being done with it. And it's so complicated as far as like looking at it right now. It's taking me time to decipher what each thing is within the budget. So I think looking at needs versus wants is one of the ways we address the issue. I know we need workers. I know the businesses, the economy needs workers. So what are some of the spending? Where can we take some money to invest in businesses, which is what we need to do to help recoup some of the losses of the pandemic, because we lost a lot of small businesses. The other thing is looking at some of the green spaces that we do have. I know there are a lot of people upset with the Wilderness Park situation, and those are some of the areas where people took walks, people like the nature, they liked the park itself was kind of it was a historical kind of thing. So the they're upset that there's a development going in, and, you know, rightfully so. Like, why are we, you know, why are we getting rid of green spaces when we're also wanting, part of the climate plan is to promote green spaces? So we already have things in the city that help address some of those issues, but we're kind of going back and forth. We're going against some of the things that we're planning for. Like, some of the things that we're doing isn't really making sense. So yes, the budget is always going to be a concern. The budget is always going to be at the, you know, we're always going to look to the budget to see where our spending is. But I think our investment now should be in helping the economy recover, and how can we divert some of the money that, let's say, we've spent on other issues over the past 2 years, like, for example, COVID, you know, the COVID dial, the COVID, everything surrounding COVID. Can we divert some of that money now that we have various, we have you know, we have a way to deal with COVID now? How can we divert some of this money to other things that we need, like helping out small businesses? So it's more of a balancing, you know, a balancing act. How can we divert some of the funding from one entity to another entity?
All right, I have one last question, but Kent leaned forward and his body language tells me he has a question.
Yeah, this is sort of a follow-up to one of the earlier questions where you mentioned the people are concerned about crime and not enough police officers or whatever. And my understanding is the city can't fill the jobs that they've already approved. You know, they're already there for police. So that creates an issue. And also, you know, I wonder what anything else that the city can do to affect that.
I think there are a few things in the works. I know, at least for the fire department, there is giving their kids, there's something in the legislature right now where they're debating about certain benefits of specifically kids being able to go to college at a discounted or at a free rate, making the job more attractive to potential police officers. I know that a lot of them are going to Omaha, and now the question is, why are they going to Omaha? So those are my concerns. Why are we where we're at? And why can't we fill, you know, is there an exit interview that is done with the police officers who are leaving? I know they are overworked. I know that they have to use vacation time to sleep. I know that there are a lot of issues that are happening right now. So how can we, you know, have we done an exit interview? Are we listening to the police officers who have left? Have we asked the current police officers what do they need? What other support do they need? Do they have recommendations on how to make things better? You know, by all means, as a city council, an expert on everything, we rely on experts who are involved in some of these areas to tell us what they see for the future. I see our role as a city council as kind of mediators, where we listen to the public, we listen to the experts, and then out of all of the choices, we make the best decision possible after weighing the pros and the cons. So I think it's an important conversation to have with LPD to say, okay, what's happening? Where are we? You know, why are we seeing such a huge exodus from the department, and how can we address the issue rather than just let it go on? Because the city isn't going to be able to sustain itself, because we keep growing. The city is growing, it's not shrinking. And, you know, people need to feel safe in their communities. And I know that's a concern. I know that's a concern.
Kent, so I'll follow up on Kent. Usually I just let his questions sit there, but so, you know, I mean, the last police contract, I believe, made them pay either comparable or beating the Omaha Police Department. One of the questions that I think is, you know, people have asked, and as a member of, if you're a member of the city council, how comfortable or uncomfortable are you with the legal situation that the police department finds itself in? There have been allegations of harassment. There've been, you know, obviously court settlements that have, or out of court settlements too, that have cost taxpayer money. How comfortable are you with the way that situation's being handled?
So I think every claim needs to be investigated. It's not something that, you know, we have laws that prevent such treatment. And if there is, you know, someone who's speaking and saying, hey, there is this going on, we have to investigate it. We have to look into it, and we have to have policies and procedures to address the issues. Unfortunately, it's gone to a point where it's become a legal issue. So I'm just going to let the justice system do its thing. And that's the only thing we can do at this point, is just to let the justice system work it out. Because as city council, we're not part of the legal, we're not the legal process. And so when someone files, when someone starts that legal process, we have to let the legal, we have to let the legal process happen. And whatever comes out of the process, we handle it from there. We address it from there. So we'll see where how it all comes about, and what evidence is presented. And from what I read, it's a pretty extensive document. There's a lot of documentation. There's a lot of scenarios and examples. And so I'm just waiting to see what the courts find, as far as how they decide to address it. And then we as a city, or the department, is going to have to address it as well.
Okay, well, Elena, we're down to the last question here. It's specially designed for you to get the final word in. What have we not asked you that you wish we would have?
I'm not used to those kinds of questions.
This is, if you got a stump speech that you want to give, whatever, you can do with it what you want.
I guess one of the things that I want people to know about me is that I don't claim to know everything. And if I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know, but I don't leave it at that. I will go and find out information. I'm a lifelong learner. So I don't claim to have all the answers, but I like to ask a lot of questions so that we can make the best decision possible for the city. So I have a life story that's unlike a lot of many people who are running for office. I'm kind of on the outside looking in, and I tend to pick apart policies and procedures, and I tend to look at things a little bit more deeply, I guess, than most people. And a lot of times it takes me time to absorb a lot of the information, because there's just a lot of decisions that need to be made. And so I like to have the good and the bad. And I like to kind of filter through all that and make the best decision possible. I like to have interactions with people. I like to ask the hard questions. I like to have the hard conversations. I don't believe in shutting down conversations. I have a very diverse background and experience that I bring to the table. So just kind of an overall summary of kind of how I look at different things happening around me at this point.
All right, well, I think we are wrapped up with that, Elina. Thank you for spending 28 to 32 minutes with us, and we wish you the best with this campaign, and we thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.